Hi, this is Keith Singer. On our next segment of Making a Difference, we have Chazz Palminteri. Chazz, thank you so much for being with us.
It's my pleasure.
Really glad to have you. Let me give you a proper introduction, though. Bronx born and raised, Chazz Palminteri is best known for his one-man play and feature film called A Bronx Tale. You've appeared in more than 50 movies, including The Usual Suspects, and you were nominated for an Academy Award for your performance in Bullets Over Broadway. You're going to continue, I assume, making movies?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I do.
That's what you do.
I just did a new movie with Tom Hardy. Who's a wonderful, great new actor. It's called Legends. I shot it in England. It'll be out this year.
What's it about?
It's about the Cray brothers, these two twin brothers in the 60s. They were like gangsters, British twin brothers, and they were pretty violent, but a great story.
Do you need to do a British accent?
No, I'm actually the only American in the movie.
Okay, good. All right, so in 2005, you and your wife, Jonna, created the Child Reach Foundation as a way to give back to the community. Tell our listeners a little bit about your foundation.
Well, you know, it's very important when I say the Child Reach Foundation. We named it because we really help children. Mm-hmm. It's very important to us. You know, I was blessed with great, wonderful, healthy children, and I thought, hey, you know, there are people who are not as fortunate and that have a tough time. So what we do is we help. We have two parts of the charity. We basically, there's a disease called thalassemia, which is a blood disease that affects children, and we give a lot to that for the doctors looking for a cure. In fact, in 2005, when I first got into the charity, the kids were living, they will live till about 20 years old. Now they're living till maybe 40, 50 years old.
Wow.
Some of these kids.
This is because of the research that you've done?
Well, not just me. I just can't say just me.
Right.
Because of all the research that all people have done for the thalassemia. But we have helped. We have raised over $1 million, so we have definitely helped, but it's not just because of myself and my wife, no. Many great people. The Cooley's Anemia Foundation has raised a great deal of money for that.
What's it like for kids with thalassemia? What is it like to live like that? What's their symptoms?
Well, they have to get transfusions, I think, every night. They have
every
like
night?
Every night, yeah, basically every night, where they get too much iron in their blood, and they have to get a transfusion all the time to get the iron out of their blood. They turn yellow. You know, it's like they get a yellowish face. But now they've been doing it. They've been inventing. They really came up with a pill that helps them. They still have to do the transfusions, but they live much longer. It's less painful. We're really making great strides. Look, we could really probably conquer this thing if people would, if they put as much money as they put into cancer into this. Right. But it's kind of an orphan disease. Not many people know of it, But we're trying to make more people aware of it. In fact, if people should be tested for it, because if two people have the gene,
right.
You could have the gene and nothing, it's fine. You could walk around with the gene and be fine. But if you marry someone who has the gene and you have children, there is a possibility that that child can get thalassemia. So we encourage people to screen before they get married, to really test their blood.
Right. Out of all the diseases out there, what made you so passionate about curing this particular one? I mean, it seems kind of scary.
Well, they came to me actually even before 2005. We started our own charity in 2005, but I've been with them. I've been doing this since probably 2000. They wanted an Italian American to be the chairman of, the chairperson. And I didn't really know nothing about the disease, to be honest with you. But it affects Italians, Mediterraneans, Greek,
right.
A lot of people there. And so I said, well, okay, I could do it for one time. I thought it would be interesting. And I did it once, and then I met a lot of these kids who have the disease. And I just was like, I just, fell in love with these kids. I mean, they were just such sweet kids, 9, 10, 12 years old. And I don't know. And the next year they asked me, would you do it again? And I did it again, and I've been doing it ever since. And then I said, I looked at some of these places, some charities, a lot of charities are terrific. But
right.
I wanted to really, I don't like certain charities that, every dollar you give, 70, 80%
right.
goes towards that, and then 20% goes towards the disease. So I
right.
said, you know what, I don't like this. So I said I'm going to start my own charity with my wife, so I have one
More
person
control.
working. I have one person working. So all the money that I make from the charity goes directly to whoever the charity or the policeman. And this way, I mean, it's so much easier. I don't, these people fly around, credit cards, take plane trips
Right.
for the charity. Look, I don't believe in that. I
Right.
believe in the money you get, you give directly to the charity. So, 100% of the money goes to the kids and to the policemen. And
So
that's
instead
the
of
way I
just
feel
writing a
about it.
check, you're making sure that the actual money that you raise does
Oh, I
good.
hand it to them
Right.
myself.
Right.
If you go on my website, Child Reach Foundations,
Right.
you'll see we're handing it to doctors. We hand them the check ourselves,
Right.
and that's what I like. I mean, this is like direct helping. I just feel more responsible for that. People give me money for my charity. I want to make sure that that money goes into the right hands. I don't use it for. People have dinners that when they're meeting people to donate for money for their foundation. They write it off as dinner. I pay for everything. I don't care. I don't want
Right.
that. I want everything that somebody gives. It goes to the charity.
That's great. I wish more charities were efficient like that. So listeners, if you want to help children, there's probably no better place to do it. You can really make a difference. You can donate. You can go to childreachfoundation.org and
That's
perhaps
correct.
donate some money. And I can tell you that the more you give, the more good things come back to you. It's never going to cost you money to help people. It's only going to help them and help you as well. Is that when you first, Chazz? Is that when you first started getting involved with philanthropy? When that organization approached you?
That's when I really got into it very much. But I've always been, I've always given as much as I can to different charities. I didn't grow up with a lot of money,
Right.
obviously, but I'll give you a quick funny story.
Sure.
I was doing. We used to have the event at Tavern on the Green. We would have a big dinner each year for the Child Reach Foundation, and we were doing it once and I was leaving at the end, and the limo came to pick my wife and I up, and we were getting it, and this woman came walking over to me really quickly with this child who was about 10, 11 years old, and she said, "Look, my son wants to tell you something." She was at the event that we just had.
Uh-huh.
So I kind of bent down a little bit. I said, "Hi," I met him, and he said, "I really want to thank you for helping me and all my friends." And I was like, "Oh boy," I had to get myself together here, And I'm saying, "Oh, that's right. Don't worry, it's okay. It's my pleasure."
Right.
And he said, "Could I give you a hug?" And I said, "Yes." And he gives me a hug and my wife a hug, and I tell you, I had to do everything but not cry right there, right?
Yeah.
So I said bye to her, and he was very sweet, and I get in the car, and then she kind of comes walking over to me and taps on the window, and I put down the window, and I said yes, and she says, "Could I ask you a question?" And I said, "Sure." And she says, "Why do you do this?" She goes, you don't have children who have this. You have healthy children.
Yeah.
Why do you do this?" She says to me. And I says, "That's why."
Right.
I said, "That's why I do it." And I smiled, and she said, "Thank you, Mr." And I said, "Thank you," and we left. And that's really,
That's a great story illustrating how you can actually get so much more by giving. And I would encourage
yeah,
all our listeners to follow your lead. Who taught you or inspired you to make giving back such an important part of your life?
I just think my parents. I mean, my parents who really grew up poor. We didn't have money, but they were always so generous and always so nice to people.
Right.
My mother was always so, "Oh, you need food, don't worry about it. Come have dinner with us." And, I think when you grow up with loving parents, you become loving yourself.
Yeah.
You grow up with cruel parents or mean parents or selfish parents, then usually the child becomes selfish. But I grew up with parents who were just so nice and wonderful and always so caring about other people. And my dad was a bus driver, and I saw him be nice to everyone on the bus, whether they be black or white or any nationality. So that's what I was taught. As a child, you are what your parents teach you. You're a mirror to them. So.
Are you trying to teach your kids the same values?
Oh, absolutely. Are you kidding? And my children are exactly like that.
Mm-hmm.
They want to help other people. They want to give to charities. They're very thoughtful, and that's important to me. Yes.
That's great. That's great. Well, it's really great what you're doing, and I commend you. And let's talk about. I know you're coming to South Florida to do a show. Your famous
Yeah.
one-man show, A Bronx Tale, on February 26th at the Coconut Creek Seminole Casino.
Right.
This is a revival of the show you were originally doing before your movie career.
This is before the movie. I did this in 1989, and this was the show I wrote that became the hottest property in the world at the time. Everybody wanted it to do it. It was insane. It was like since Rocky, this hasn't happened.
Right.
And I held out because I wanted to play Sonny and I wanted to write the screenplay, and then finally,
So
I turned down $1 million with $200 in the bank. Then Robert De Niro.
you turned down $1 million. Hold on, let's not gloss over that. You turned down you have no money. You turned down $1 million.
That's correct.
And so, were the people close to you telling you you're crazy? Were they supportive? Were they saying take the money?
Yeah. Well, their first they offered was $250.
Right.
Then they went to $500,000. Then they went to $1 million.
Right.
And I said no. I said I play Sonny and I write the screenplay. Then finally, about a week later, after I turned down $1 million, Robert De Niro walked into the theater, saw the show, and said, "Hey, we got to make this a movie, and you should play Sonny and you should write the screenplay, and we'll go partners." And that's how it happened.
That's great. So luckily, you only had to wait a week for your big break after you turned down $1 million. So that certainly worked out. I guess following your passion and being true to yourself worked out.
I mean, and it's a great show, and people who love the movie. I'm going to be doing it February 26th at the casino in Coconut Creek.
Yes,
if I'm not mistaken.
It's Coconut Creek Seminole Casino. I'm going to go see it. And listeners, you should definitely go see it. Is it okay to bring? Is it appropriate for like teenage kids, or is it just adults?
It's absolutely great for teenage kids.
Okay.
Because the motto is the saddest thing in life is wasted talent, and it really makes kids understand the power of their life and stay away from drugs and alcohol and the chances they and the choices they make, how important that is. So it's a great story for that.
Okay.
I mean, I've done it many times for. In fact, when I do it, I usually have a section sometimes cut out to minorities who can't afford tickets, who can come to see it. It's very important.
That's nice of you. Let me ask you this: when your fans see you out and they approach you, is there any one particular scene you've done in your career that people are always bringing up to you as their favorite?
Well, yeah, obviously Bronx Tale.
Right.
They always say throw him in. Now you just can't leave.
Now you just can't leave. I love that.
You can't leave. Throw him in the bathroom and Bullets Over Broadway and Usual Suspects. They do that. They bring up that, and they bring up this movie called Night in the Roxbury.
You were Night in the Roxbury?
Yeah,
I remember that movie.
Yeah,
that was
I
funny.
played this character, and they always say this one thing that's funny. Yeah.
Check out the play at the casino in Coconut Creek, February 26th. You can get tickets at Ticketmaster. Chazz, I want to thank you again for being with us.
Thank you.
Listeners, there's so many children in need. You can help them by going to childreachfoundation.org.
.org, please. Thank you.
Thanks, Chazz.